Show captions. All right, good morning and good evening, everybody. It is good to be back. Thank you for asking about my holiday. Yes, last Thursday was Thanksgiving here in the US, and it was a lovely time. I visited my family. My parents, they live a little bit far away from me, so it's always nice to see them. But now I'm back to you all, so I'm happy to be back with you all. I hope you all had a little break, a good little break from class as well. I hope your assignment 3 is completed. Assignment 3 was due earlier today, so I hope you were able to submit that. I know assignment 3 is a little tricky, but I hope you were able to at least get working through it and submit. I hope you submitted at least something. And then over the weekend, I also emailed you about something called VS Code. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So for the last, we've been already together for 5 weeks. This is our week number 6 already. Oh my goodness. EdSTEM. But now now that we're really familiar with coding and getting really good at it. Oh, it says my internet connection is stable. So now that we're getting really good at it, we want to start using some tools. I want to introduce you to some tools that web developers use every day. And these are free tools, and these are really, really great tools to learn. So we're going to take some time today. We're going to step away a little bit from learning new HTML, CSS things. We're going to learn how to use some of these tools called VS Code and also another tool called GitHub. Okay, so let's first talk about GitHub real quick, and then we'll go back to VS Code. For my learning assistants that joined me today, uh, if you already have a GitHub account, VS Code, that's great. If not, I recommend you follow along as well. We're going to be using GitHub straight out of VS Code as well. So make sure you do follow along, or at least be aware of what we're doing today, so that you can help the students in during breakout rooms. The lab today is going to be practicing with VS Code and pushing out some code to GitHub. Okay, so I'm going to go and share my screen. Right. And okay, here's my screen. The first thing I would like you to do, and if you already did this, great. Please download Visual Studio Code on your computer. Visual Studio Code is free, and it is available on Windows, most operating systems, so you should be able to download this without a problem. And if you already did this, that's great. Good for you. You're super ahead. If you haven't done this, depending on your internet connection, this might take a while. So you might want to do this after class, but this is what we're going to be using. It looks, after you finish downloading it, it looks something like, let me open it on it looks something like this. It looks something like this. After you download it and install it, it's going to look something like this. And this is very similar to what we've done before with EdSTEM. We've been writing code on EdSTEM workspaces. You know how we've been like, let's look at lesson number 9. Yeah, lesson number 9, where we would write code here in this code editor. Visual Studio Code is very similar in that regard. We're going to be writing code in here, and but the difference is that this code all lives on your computer, whereas all this code lives on EdSTEM. So we're going to learn how to put all this code on our own computer, and it's going to be, the files are going to save on our own computer. Yep, if you already have done this, great. But if you have not, please make sure you do it. I also did post on our discussion that if oh, looks like I have some comments here. I highly do encourage you to watch this video. This is a YouTube video. I did not create this one. This one is about it's about 19 minutes long. It has 1.1 million views. That's how good this video is. It talks about how to set up your VS Code, and it goes over some of the basics. Great video. So I highly recommend you watch this if you haven't already after class. Next thing I want everybody to do is everyone's going to create an account on something called github.com. GitHub is also very common. Most web developers use this. It is a place, you could think of a place as where you where you put your code. So we'll explain a little bit more about this, but let me type this in the chat so everybody's aware. A recap here. Okay. All right, let's talk about GitHub real quick. So this is my GitHub account, and I'll show you just real quick. So this is my GitHub account, for example. And again, very common, many web developers use this for this is where you can publish code, you can share code with others. There's something called repositories where you can upload your code, and you can share that code with other people, and you collaborate. Later on, right now, we're all kind of writing our own assignments and labs, but in the future, when you do work as a web developer, it is very common to work with other people because there's just so many code to write. So GitHub is helpful in sharing your code with other people, and you can contribute together. It is a very, very, very great thing to learn. So we're going to be learning that GitHub today and Visual Studio Code. First, we're going to talk more about GitHub, but first of all, I'm going to log out here. Please create an account. I'm going to sign out real quick. And if you go to github.com, it's going to say sign up for GitHub. You can go ahead and sign up by putting your email address and signing up here, or you can sign up here. By the way, GitHub is pretty public. You could almost think of it as another social media profile. So if you want to hide your identity a little bit, just for security's sake, you can use like a nickname to create your account. You don't have to use your own profile picture. You can kind of keep it a little bit anonymous. That's okay. A lot of people do that anyway. So if you, I know because things in Afghanistan are a little bit, sensitive. And so if you want to keep your privacy a little bit, I do recommend you kind of use you can still use your email address, but maybe for your username, use like a nickname or like an alias or like some special name that you like to use. Just so because anybody can look up your GitHub account. It's kind of it's a pretty public profile. So you can hide your work, you can make your work private, but in general, it's pretty public. So I recommend that. So let's gonna recap here. Please create a GitHub account with your email address. GitHub is a public. Okay. So once you start, I'm kind of curious. Let's see how they always change the sign up stuff. So yeah. So when you go through this, yeah, it's gonna say enter your email. Yeah, it's they like to go through these steps with you. Enter your email, continue, create a password, right? So just kind of follow these steps. Follow these steps. And then once you're ready, once you're done creating the account, we can sign in. It might ask you, it might ask you for a to enter your mobile phone number. Nowadays there's a lot of hacking and things going on, so people steal your password and things like that. So to avoid that, they add like this mobile authentication where after you log in, they want you to confirm on your phone. So you might need your phone with you for this part. Okay, so while people are downloading Visual Studio Code and creating your GitHub account for the first time, we're going to be, let me give you a quick tour of Visual Studio Code. And please let us know if you have any problems in the chat. Maybe I'll let you guys, maybe I'll give you a minute to just kind of work through it. And if you already had, some people in the last cohort, some people already had a GitHub account. So if you already have a GitHub account, that's great. You can use your whatever GitHub account you already have. You don't have to create a new one just for this class. You can continue to use your old one. And like I mentioned, so this is like the github.com. This is your username over here. So anybody can visit your GitHub account, your GitHub profile. It's a public thing when you create a username. So anybody that has your username, they can go to github.com and put my name on it, put your username on it, and you're gonna see this. And as you see, my username is my name. But again, you do not have to use your name for your username. I recommend that you don't use your real name. Um, if you have, maybe you can use your initials, or um, you can get creative with it. And I put my picture on. This is a very old picture of me, but I put my picture on here, but I recommend you don't put your picture on there. You can put your like an avatar maybe, um it's just a different image. Keep your profile a little bit discreet. Oh, okay, we got a question for Nazifa. Okay, yeah, for this step, you can just put just me. Yeah, just me is fine. And let's see here. Um, oh, Shogofa, I think yeah, good job. I think you have finished the steps. Good job. Let's see, Tahira. Oh, Tahira, so it doesn't like the it says username may only contain alphanumeric characters or single hyphens and cannot begin with the hyphen. So you can't use the hash, the pound sign. Can't use that one. You're gonna have to remove the pound sign, unfortunately. You can use a number though. Yeah, like one of the numbers, but not a symbol, not a punctuation mark. Yeah. Let's see, we got another question. Great questions. This one you don't have to for this step, Nazifa. So if anybody's on this step for GitHub when you're creating an account, you can skip this. You can just I think you should be able to not choose any of them. But if it makes you choose something, you can go ahead and just click the first one, but you don't have to choose anything. Um, let's see, there's this, when you go to the link, the Zoom kind of stops. Yeah. Let me ask, are you on? Hey, all right, getting great. Yeah, keep your questions coming. This is great. Let me delete some of these. Hey, Fatima, let's see, what is your question here? Um, what's this? Unable to verify your unable to verify your capture response. Please visit for troubleshooting. Okay, I think it was asking for some questions, and maybe you Fatima, the response wasn't what they wanted, so it might give you an issue. You can try to close this window and then open it again and try again. And then I think we just have to make sure this puzzle that they ask you is correct. I have to just try again. Um, How can you change your profile? Like, you mean like your username? You can go to, I believe you can go to settings. Uh, I am just responding to chats here. Yeah, you can have multiple, if you want to have two accounts, for GitHub accounts, you can. But like I used to have like two accounts too, but it ends up just you don't really end up using both. You only just want to, it's just easier to manage one. And then like it's also kind of nice because for your profile, um like you can, it's kind of, they make it kind of fun. You can see in under one profile, you can see all the code you've written. This chart is kind of fun too. It actually shows you like how much code you're writing. It looks like in August I wrote a lot of code, but in September not really, you know. So so it's kind of fun to do it that way. So it's nice. Let me see. If you have a computer, yes, it would be great that you have your computer open today because we are going to be creating GitHub account and we are going to be using Visual Studio Code, which is on your computer. So, yeah, I recommend my computer, your computer. Okay. yeah, let me just do a quick recap about GitHub, and then we will jump into VS Code again. So GitHub, as you can see, this is my profile. GitHub is a this very commonly used. I mean, most web developers, software engineers. Yeah. So not just web developers, but anybody that writes code essentially has a GitHub account. And the reason for this is the GitHub is a place where you can upload your code. You can collaborate with other people. You can work on code with other people. A lot of projects are on GitHub. You can also contribute to other people's projects. It is a great place for people to kind of show what it's also a place where you can show your work. GitHub also acts as like a portfolio piece where you can show, okay, this is all the code I've written. So when people look for jobs or internships, a lot of people ask, okay, let me look at your GitHub account, and then you look at their like what the code they wrote, and then like see if this is the person you want to work with. So very popular tool. There's this idea called repositories, which we're going to talk about later. Repositories is where all the code where my code lives. And like, for example, I have a website, and this is all the code for my website. For example, it has like, it kind of tells you what it is. This has all my like, this is my about that HTML file. Here it is, my contact HTML file. Here it is, like, right. So on and so forth. So all your code is kind of public in GitHub here. Oh, okay, Fatima. So for this, I think it might maybe because of your internet connection, it might not work very well right now. So right here, there should be like a this is called a CAPTCHA. Right here, this like a puzzle should show up here. And then once that puzzle shows up here, you need to put the answer here. So right now for yours, it's like a blank. It's blank, but there needs to be an image that shows here. Maybe wait a little bit. Um, Let me type in the chat. Yeah, if you're seeing this step here, just me is fine. It doesn't matter too much right now. Yeah, just me is good. Are you a student teacher? You can do student. Yeah, this information is just, it's not too critical. Ooh, Arefa has an account already. This is Arefa's account. Nice. Shigova, great question. How will we work with this? That's what we're going to be talking about in class today. We're going to set up, we're going to use Visual Studio Code, VS Code. We're going to use it to connect to our GitHub profile. And then we're going to use VS Code to publish our code to GitHub. Yes. And yeah, if your internet is too weak today for you to create all the account and everything, it is okay. We can you after you log off of Zoom, you can try creating a new account. After you log off of Zoom, you can try creating an account, and then it should be faster when you're not on Zoom. So yeah, you can for today you can just kind of watch. Oh, nice job. Shogofa, nice job. Good job. Ooh, nice photo. Okay, so let's talk about Visual Studio. So GitHub account, please create. Let's talk about Visual Studio Code. Because of the internet issues, if you haven't downloaded it yet, maybe we should wait until after class. If you did download it already, that's great. You can go ahead and try opening it. It looks something like this. This is Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio Code. You should be able to use it on Windows. If you have a Windows laptop, it's available on pretty much most operating systems. Okay. All right. So when you first open Visual Studio Code, it's going to say like, welcome. And like, there's all these like new file, open, clone, connect. There's a lot of options here. So everything that Visual Studio Code does is going to be off of your own computer. So this is my computer. I'm using a Mac computer. I think most of you are using a Windows computer because I asked in the survey. There's a lot of similarities between the two, so don't worry too much. So Visual Studio Code is going to read all the code that's saved on your computer. Whereas for EdStem, when we wrote all the code, it is saved on EdStem's website. So if for whatever reason EdStem decides to stop working because something happened, then all of your code will not be accessible here anymore. Now, but Visual Studio Code, if you write your code here, it's always going to be on your computer. So as long as you have your computer, you'll be able to use Visual Studio. You'll be able to use it on Visual Studio Code. That's why a lot of people use Visual Studio Code. Okay, so to start using Visual Studio Code, it's gonna ask, oh, let's create a new folder, new file, things like that. So let's go ahead. Let's kind of work on this together. We want to create a new folder just for our computer, and we're going to use that folder in Visual Studio Code. In a Mac computer, Finder is where we have access to all of our files like desktop, downloads, and documents, and everything like that. So this is where I would create my folder. If you're using Windows, let me open up my Windows here. You have something called the File Explorer. Let me do Windows desktop. Okay, this is kind of what your Windows looks like. Okay, and you're gonna click on this icon, right? It's kind of hard to see, but you're gonna click on this one right here, the little folder here. Let me see if there's a bigger, better photo. Uh, okay, this folder icon right over here. Okay, right over here. Okay, so on your Windows, create on your computer. If you're using Windows, you want to click on this icon here, this little where you can create a folder. And your file explorer looks something like this, or it could look something like this. Okay, and in on here, we're going to go to desktop. So I'm gonna this is what it looks like on my MacBook, something like this, desktop, something like this. And in your desktop, please go to desktop. We're going to right click and click new folder, new folder. Okay, we're gonna click new folder and we're gonna create a new folder on my desktop, and let's just call this app web. Okay, just like that, app web. I have a lot of like other app web stuff here, but let's create app web, just like that. Create a new folder on your desktop called app web, and in this is the folder we're gonna open up on VS Code, and this is a folder where we're gonna now write all of our lesson code here for now on. I'll type the instructions in the chat as well, so we can all uh, do this together. I'm gonna type it out here. Cap. Nice. Hakima and Masuma. Very nice. All right, one more time. Just want to recap here. We're going to work with VS Code now. So I'm just going to put this chat in the chat one more time. On your computer, click on the File Explorer. It's like, it looks something, it's like this icon here. It's a little blurry, but it's this icon here. Or if you want, on your desktop, you can right-click right away in the desktop and then create a new folder, create a new folder, and we're going to call it APP Web. So right-click, new folder, or in Windows, you can also do like File, new folder, I think. And then name the folder APP Web. And we're going to be using this folder and VS Code for all of our files and lessons. All right, everybody good? Okay, now let's go to Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code. And we're going to click on File, Open Folder. Open folder. And that folder we just created, we're going to go to Desktop. And that folder we just created, APP Web, click Open. I'll put in the chat as well. Okay, one more time. We're going to do File, Open Folder, and then go to Desktop and find the folder. It should be created on your desktop. Find the folder you just created and click Open. And it's going to look something like this now. Like there's like an Explorer on the left. There's like a bunch of icons here. There's this APP Web right here. That's the folder I just opened up. Right now, the folder doesn't have anything. Right now, the file doesn't have anything. Like there's nothing in there, so you can't really see anything here. You can close this. You can also close the welcome tab here. You can just close that too. Okay, right now there's nothing here. Notice I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Notice there's like these icons, there's very small icons here. So using these icons, you can create new files or you can create new folders inside of my APP web folder, right? So let's try to create a new folder real quick. So I'm gonna click new folder and I'm gonna call it lessons, okay? And this is where this is the folder we're gonna eventually add all of our lessons. So here we go, I have a folder here, and back in my Finder or back in your File Explorer, you're gonna see it created here too. So if I have a APP web folder, and here I have a lessons folder. Oh, Tahara, let's see. Good, great question. Do you trust the authors of this file? Yes. Click, please press yes. I trust all the authors. Yeah, if you see this, yeah, you're the one creating the folder, so you should trust it. So yes, click on yes, I trust them. Okay, great. And then now in this lesson, right now, I can click on the little arrow icon here like this. In this lesson folder, I can also create a new file. Let me create a new file. So let me click on the lessons. And then I'm gonna create a new file. So you can create files in here as well. There we go, I have a new file. And then I'm just gonna call this file like, you know, actually, before I do that, maybe I will create a new folder inside lesson. I'm gonna call this today's lesson is lesson number 10. Okay, lesson number 10. And then, oh, so I create another folder. And in that folder, I'm gonna create like lesson.html. Right, lesson.html, for example. So you can create HTML files like this in here. Don't forget to put .html, very important. And then once I've done, there we go. I have my lesson.html right over here. I can always close this tab by clicking on the icon here. And here's my HTML code. And as you can see, you can write HTML here. Just like what we did before, you can do the whole, you know, doc type thing. And what's nice is that as you type, it's gonna VS Code is very good about like closing tags for you. It highlights things for you. It's very, very nice. Very nice to type your code in here. Here's a little trick in a nice little trick in VS Code. You can also remember the HTML skeleton. You have to like write it for every new file. It gets a little tiring. There's built in VS Code. There's something called Emmet that helps you write HTML faster. You can type an exclamation mark, just like this, exclamation mark, and then press tab, and voila, you get the entire HTML skeleton in just like that. And I didn't have to type anything. So one more time, it has to be an HTML file. In an HTML file, you can press exclamation mark and then press tab, and then voila, you get the entire HTML skeleton in just one go. There's like these tags we haven't talked about before, meta tags and things. I can we'll talk more about those later, but yes, just like that, you don't have to type all of your skeleton again. You can just type in exclamation mark, tab. There we go. There's all of our stuff here. All right, so let me type a recap here. Recap. And then you're gonna notice that in my APP web folder, everything I in the file explorer here, my finder and file explorer, everything I just created, lesson 10, here's my lesson 10 file, everything is created. And then let's do like, like hello world or something like that, maybe like an H1 tag, and then hello world, and let's save this. Okay. And then after you save this file, you can save the file by pressing Command S or Control S. Don't forget to save. In Edstem, our code is automatically saved for us, but on Visual Studio Code, we have to save things. So you want to do file save, or you can also do file save like this to save the file. You could do Command S, Control S to save. And then once you've saved it, you can actually go back to your browser. I'm using Chrome, and you could do File, Open File. File, open file. We're going to click on desktop, go into that and look for that file. And here's my lesson.html file. And there it is. There's my file over here. There's my file over here. Nice. This is my code. And notice in my browser, it actually tells me exactly where my file lives. It's in the my desktop, the APP web folder that I just created. There's a folder called lessons, lesson 10, and this is lesson.html, which is all basic right here as well. It also shows me up here as well where my file lives. Okay. And if for fun, we can also even grab, this is from lesson number 9. This is our lesson number 9 workspace. Like if you want to see your work, you can actually like go back to your lesson number 9. This is my bookstore. And you could do Command Control A, copy, and then you can copy all of your code and we could put it in here. Command V. This is from our code last time. And if you refresh the page, you can see that's our bookstore website. For example, I don't have my CSS file. Let's create my CSS file as well. I can create a new file here again, styles.css. And then here's my styles.css, Control A, Control C, Control V to paste. And then we can see a little bit more here. There you go. There's my bookstore. Oh, I need to get my images, but right. So everything we did on Edstem, I'm just copy pasting all, I'm selecting all, and then I'm copying it, and I'm pasting it in, the exact same thing we just did. And we could actually see it show up on my browser. Yay. I'm glad that you think it's fun. That's awesome. Yay. Yeah. So all this code now lives on your computer. On your computer. Now let me show you some Yeah, let me show you a few fun things with VS Code real quick. If you watch the video, that's great. I'm gonna show you few cool things real quick. First of all, there is settings. Settings. We got settings, code, settings, settings. And under settings, there's a lot of different things you can oh, not here actually. Let me go to code. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's go to code, settings, and then there's themes. We could look at different themes, color themes. Here we go. And right now, the default is dark Visual Studio. That's mine right now. But you could change your theme. You can press, if you press up and down on your keyboard, you can see some different options. There's Abyss, Dark, Dracula, like there. Oh, Fairy Floss. This is something I downloaded. This is a custom one, but there's some different themes in here. You're welcome to choose a theme that you. Ooh, this is so bright. Oh, but this is kind of cool too. Ooh, the quiet light is kind of pretty. Okay, you can play around with themes like that. Okay. And then a really useful thing in VS Code is this thing called extensions. Extensions here. And there's a lot of different extensions are just add-on things that you could add on to make your code even better. A really nice one in the video to explain, I just want to show you this. There's something called Live Server. This is my favorite one, Live Server. You can go ahead, right now I already installed. You can go ahead and install Live Server. And I'll give you a second to install it. What Live Server allows you to do is back in my HTML file, I could, on the very bottom here, I can click on go live right here. And if I run the server, what's going to happen is, oh, there's my code. There's my code. Let me put it to the side. There's my browser, and then here's my code again. Okay. There we go. And then let's say I change, my like bookstore website exclamation mark, and I click save. It's gonna notice when I click save right away, it's gonna reload my browser for me. And then I have a exclamation mark right here. And so every time I make changes, it's gonna reload the page for me. So it saves me a little bit of time. So that was extensions and Live Server. And I think the video I sent you already kind of covered this. So that's why I'm going through this a little bit quickly. But let me just recap in the chat here. You can change VS Code. All right, typing a lot of stuff in the chat. Some quick recaps here. I'm going through these kind of fast, but I highly recommend. I am going through VS Code kind of fast. So I'm going through this kind of fast, but I highly recommend you watch this video. Even my learning assistants, this video is actually really good. I learned a few new things myself. So if you want to take a look, it has a lot of useful tips that are pretty universal, not to just web development, but just in coding in general. So highly recommend watch that video. Okay, here is the most important thing. Now that we learned about VS Code and we have a GitHub account, I want to show you how to connect the two. How to write. So after I'm done writing code, I want to put this code into publish this code to GitHub. That's like the main thing today. That is the main thing today. We're going to learn how to push all of our code into GitHub. And if you can follow along, please, this is the most important part. So please follow along. If you will have a lab today, and today's lab is not a free code camp lab. Today's lab is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be you creating, pushing your code into GitHub. So please follow along. If you can follow along here, then you can finish today's lab, no problem. Okay, so let's talk about connecting to GitHub. So I have all these files right now. I have a folder. So VS Code is good at working on one folder at a time. We have this folder. We have all these files saved right now. And great. We have 2 files in here. Awesome. Now I want to push all these files, this folder into into my GitHub account. So we're going to click on this third icon right here. This is the source control menu. And you're going to see something. It says publish to GitHub right here. Okay, source control, publish to GitHub. So 1, 2, 3, third one is going to say publish to GitHub. Let's click on this. And it's going to say this extension wants you to sign in using GitHub. And we're going to click allow. All right, one more time. Everybody, please do this with me on VS Code with the files. Right now, we're still with the files that we just edited. Go to source control, click on publish to GitHub, and then we're going to click allow. I'm going to type in the chat. Go. Okay, we're going to click allow, and it's going to take us to the GitHub login, and it's not asking me these questions because I already did this, but it's going to ask you, are you sure? Do you want to connect? Do you want to authorize GitHub? Blah, 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 and do it. So make sure you click allow, click allow, allow everywhere. And then it's going to ask you to go back to open Visual Studio Code. It's going to ask, are you sure you want to open Visual Studio Code? We're going to click open Visual Studio Code again to come back to Visual Studio Code. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, great question, Tara. I'm glad you asked about this. If you're not seeing what I see here, if you don't see the publish to GitHub icon and you see download Git for Windows, you're probably gonna have to do that. Yeah, I forget that. I think Windows, you might have to do this. Okay. Yeah, click if you're seeing download Git for Windows, please click on that button. This is good to know. I kind of forget that Windows is a little different sometimes. So let me save this. Thank you, Tahara. Let's see what happens next. Yep. Great, Tahara. Please click on open. And Shogofa, yeah, it's the same. Yep. Yeah, you're gonna have to let it download. Yep. Okay. Okay, so if it's asking you to download it for Windows, you can do that. Yep. Okay. Yeah, it might take you a little bit, but yeah, a lot of things to download today, right? A lot of tools, but luckily these are all free tools and fairly small, so hopefully it won't take you too long. But let me continue. And then I will also share this recording. I'll also share another video that will help you through these steps. But yeah, nice. Great. Yes, Fatima, nice. Yep. I like your arrow. Thank you for the arrow, Fatima. Okay, after you downloaded, if you're seeing this download GIF for Windows, after you have downloaded it, and you come back to VS Code, you should be able to see something like this now, where it says publish to GitHub or initialize repository. And then you can press publish to GitHub. And once you've pressed publish to GitHub, once you press publish to GitHub, it's gonna take you to Visual Studio Code, or sorry, it's gonna take you to a browser, and then eventually it's gonna make you come back to Visual Studio Code. And let me see, did it time out? Let's try that again. I think it froze. Let me try that again. So okay, let me try that again. Go back to source control. We're gonna publish to GitHub. It's gonna say allow. We're gonna go back there. We're gonna come back. There we go. All right, let me just go through these steps, and then if you still need to wait for things to download and things, that's totally fine. And all the steps I'm gonna go through right now is gonna actually be it's all written down already for you, so you can easily do these steps. When you go to lessons and you go to today's lesson number 6, lesson number 10, lesson number 10, here's lab number 6. So that's the lab you want to complete today. All the things I'm going through today, I have screenshots for you everywhere, publish to GitHub, but all these screenshots are here. So as long as you follow these steps, you'll be fine. Or if you want to watch this recording again, you can as well. All right, going back to these steps, APP web. It's gonna ask me, all right, do I want to publish to a private or public? We're gonna do public for now. And then right here where you write the name. This is the name of our repository. This is the name where we're going to be a repository where we're going to be saving all of our code. In GitHub, we have this concept of repositories, as I mentioned before. Repository is just like one place where you save all your code. It's typically one repository per project. So we're going to have our APP web project. We're going to create a repository, APP web here. And then I'm going to click on, we're going to make a public repository. So I'm going to create a public repository, and it's going to say which files you want to be in this repository. I'm going to typically click all of them. And then I'm going to click OK. And then let's give it a second. And there we go. Now it's published, all my files. Now, if I go back to my GitHub, I'm going to see that, or we should see like a success. Here's a success message on the bottom. Now on my profile in GitHub, I'm going to see, oh, there's my APP web. It just updated now. There's my APP web repository. This is my, it's now connect, they're the same now. And if I click on this, I'm going to see, oh, here's my APP web. Oh, that's the lessons folder I just created. In my lessons folder, I have a lessons 10 folder. And in my lessons 10 folder, I have my lesson.html. This is the HTML, the same HTML that was here. And then here's my styles.css. Here's my styles.css as well. Wow, it's now all here. Now anybody can view my code. I can share this with anybody. And now anybody can see my code here. We could collaborate and work together. All right. One more thing here. So what if I make some changes? Let's say my I have a bookstore here and I want to change something. Maybe I want to change the like my HTML file to say like USC like I want to add like maybe like a little thing like bestsellers. And that has like a little, oh, let me do this again. Let me go live here. All right. And then there you go. Now I have like bestsellers or something. Maybe I want to change the color. Maybe I want to change the color like, oh, so notice after I save my changes, notice my source control has a little number 1 icon here, and I can see that lesson number 1 HTML has changed. So this is another great thing about GitHub or more Git specifically, the thing that a lot of you just downloaded. Git helps us track changes. So when you're writing a lot of code and you're going to be making changes all the time, you sometimes want to know like, hey, what did I just change? We're able to keep track of using Git. We're able to track things that change, and we have like a history of things that we changed on this file. It's very useful when you're working on large projects to see what kind of things you edited and changed. So this is tracking it for us. This is what source control is. It controls like all the changes we made on our files before. So there it is. There's my it tells me I changed lesson.html. My styles as well. Let's say I changed the background color from this to like black, let's say, and I press save. Now it's black. It's black here. Notice in the source control, now my styles.css has also been changed as well. Notices that my styles.css has also changed. So both of these files have now changed, and Visual Studio Code knows that, Git knows that I've changed these files. Now, if I change it here, it doesn't automatically just change on my GitHub either. On my GitHub, it's not changed. Like it's still the same, still the same CSS. Like it's background color 9990. Mine is background color black, for example. So I need to sync these changes, right? I need to republish these changes. It's easy to do that, to republish these changes. These are the changes I have, my 2 files. I'm going to click on this, these plus icons to do something called, we're going to stage these changes. Notice now it's under stage changes. Here we go. Stage changes. And then in my message right over here, I'm going to type, okay, what are the changes I just made? So I'm going to just say like update the header background color and text, something like that. I'm going to click commit to say these are the changes I made. I'm going to commit these changes. I'm going to save these changes, commit. And then lastly, I'm going to click on sync changes, and it's going to just say, okay. And what's going to happen is all the changes I just made now are going to get republished up here. So if I go back to APP Web, it actually tells me, oh, hey, there's a change I just made. Update the header. Now, if I look at my lessons, look at my styles of CSS, here we go. Now my background color is black, just like this one. All right, that was a lot of stuff. It takes a little time to get used to, but the overall overarching idea here is that, yes, now we can write code on our Visual Studio Code on our computer. That's great. We can do that. That's its own thing. We're going to do that. And then whenever you're ready to publish your work on GitHub, you can use a source control to do this. So you don't have to always put stuff on GitHub. Of course, if you want to keep your work private on your own computer, you can just leave it like that. But if you want to start publishing your code to GitHub, you're going to need this source control. You need to click on that publish, connect to GitHub. You need to make a repository first, repository. And then after you create a repository, once you want to make some changes, you're going to use if you put any kind of changes again, let's go to blue. Let's say when you make changes again, it's going to tell me right away that I've made some changes. I'm going to click on plus icon, commit it, and it's going to show up here. Right. So a lot of things that I shared today, but all the things I just talked about is on our lab number 6. All the steps I just went over is here. Publish to GitHub, right? Creating the repository, which files you want to add to the repository. You're going to see the repository list. You're going to do the plus icon thing, right? Everything is type your message. So all the stuff I just went over, it's okay if you missed it. You're gonna practice this in lab number 6. You're gonna actually be submitting your assignment number 1. You're gonna publish your assignment number 1 on your GitHub account. So follow these steps and you'll be fine, right? So today, learning a new tool can be a little tricky, but the more we do it, the better we'll get. So for lab number 6, we're going to go into breakout room shortly, and you can work on lab number 6. If you're still downloading, Git and VS Code and stuff, that's fine. Just use this time during lab to let it download, let it do all the things. And then if you're running into problems, please ask the learning assistant on your in your breakout room. You can also send them screenshots in the breakout room as well. They can all help you individually. I will also bounce around. I'll go to each room, and if there's any problems that you're having, I can try to help you as well. All right, so everybody, we're going to be going to breakout rooms in a little bit, and we're going to practice all this VS Code and GitHub stuff that we talked about today using lab number 6. If you're having also I'm giving you so many resources, maybe too many, maybe all resource overwhelm. But if you are really having trouble with any of the steps, there's also a video on this as well, the exact steps we just covered, setting up VS Code to push to a GitHub repository. So or just follow these steps. They're the same thing. Sometimes reading it is a little bit faster too. So whatever you want. I'm going to put in the chat here, recap. And once you're done, this is how we're gonna grade or submit your assignment, lab number 6, is once you're done creating all everything, doing all the steps, over here on this lab.html, you're simply going to just replace this pound sign with the URL. So this is my, let's say this is my, if this was my URL of the, this is my URL of the repository. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna go into my lab here. I'm gonna paste the URL and then just click submit. And then that's it. You're gonna click submit, that's it. It's just we're clicking a link. Give me the link of your repo, of your repository, of your GitHub repository when you're done. Right, so again, just follow all the steps, follow every single step, make sure you cover each individual step here. Make sure you read each one carefully. And as long as you follow the steps, there you go. You're going to have your assignment number 1 is going to be on your repos in your GitHub. And it's going to be great because this is going to be great because eventually GitHub does serve as like your portfolio. So the more code you have on there that works, the better it's going to look. So. All right, then we're going to go into breakout rooms now. I'm sure you have many questions trying to figure it out. It's fine. If you need to log off Zoom a little bit to kind of download and then come back, that's fine too. Whatever is going to help you out here. Okay, I'm going to set up breakout room now. Just give me 1 second. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. We had a short breakout session today. I hope everyone is able to at least start VS Code somewhat. So in Thursday class, in class on Thursday, we are going to use VS Code. So for our lessons. So please, if it's not working for you right now, it's okay. After class today, maybe later tonight, when maybe sometimes at night the internet speed is faster, right? So maybe later tonight, or maybe around like 10 or 11 p.m. Try to download VS Code, GitHub, everything. Try to get all that together, and please complete lab number 6 before Thursday. If you need a little time, let us know. It's okay. But please do try to get that working. And I am going to have another assignment for you up as well. And then on Thursday, we're going back to our more HTML, CSS things. So yeah, as we're nearing the end of this class, we're learning more and more advanced concepts. Things are getting a little harder. So if it's a little challenging for you, that's great. That's a good thing. A little challenge is good. If you need help, please go to office hours. Please ask for help in WhatsApp. There are students that can help you as well. Please ask questions on EdStem if you need help as well. A lot of places that we can we can try. Let me respond to this. Try restarting. Okay, alrighty. Yeah. All right. So yes, if you're still having problems, you can also add screenshots on EdStem as well. Also, sometimes after you install everything, your computer just needs a good restart. Just restart your computer sometimes, and it might just kind of things might just work. I know it just sometimes it's just like that. So, all right, have a great rest of your evening, everyone. I really appreciate everybody. You guys, everybody works so hard. So great job. Continue to persevere, continue to work through these challenges, these internet challenges. And you're gonna learn so many great skills at the end of the day. So be well, have a great rest of your evening. See you on Thursday. Bye.